All right, it's Friday, it's episode 81, and I am not Shane. Where is Shane? Does anybody know? The last I saw, he
got kidnapped by PC gamers? Or?
Yeah, I think somebody issued a fatwa on him last week, and he's under house arrest, safe for his own protection. No, he's off being like really high-powered and stuff. Isn't he playing Modern Warfare 2 today or something?
That's the rumor.
That's the rumor?
Yeah, I think we can neither deny nor confirm.
Oh, I don't really care about that game. Anyway, we've got a bang-up show today, even though we don't have our glorious leader. We have Ryan, Sex God of the Apocalypse Stevens.
Yep, I'm Harry.
You're Harry?
Harry.
Harry, oh, okay.
Don't act like you don't know.
Justin, I'm looking like a member of the Beatles spare.
Yeah, a good-looking member of the Beatles.
A very good looking. No, actually, seriously, you're looking very dapper today.
Thank you.
It's really
Dapper
cool.
Dan.
I dressed up for the show.
Yeah,
for
I'm
all
glad.
our viewers.
And of course, we have Mr. Bloodworth, the get a haircut man. How long have you had your hair like that, by the way?
How long have I had my hair long?
Yeah, I mean, has it always been long? To
Pretty much forever, except for a couple of times where I've needed to cut it for jobs.
Do you sort of like leave it grow to a certain length and then cut it, or does it automatically just
Well,
stay
once
at
it
that
gets
length?
annoying, I'll cut it. Yeah, I usually get about once a year.
Okay. Well, so when's your next haircut planned?
Next month or so.
Next month or so. Okay, so that'll be interesting. So we'll have a before and after picture. All right, so yes, we do have a bang-up show today. We have lots of cool stuff to talk about, and let's get on with it.
Coward. The devil's not the one you need to fear. Tell him hello for me. I know you're here. Assassin! Show yourself! Or are you afraid?
All right, first up, we're going to talk about a game. Now, two or three weeks ago. A game?
Are
We're
we
going to talk about a game
haircuts?
on the consoles and stuff. And a few weeks ago, Ryan, you and John Cheng disappeared to Venice for a week.
And Florence.
And we thought you just eloped. But it turns out you actually went to look at a game, didn't you?
Yeah, we looked at Assassin's Creed 2 for a couple of those days. And then there was some getting lost and romantic gondola rides, which we've already talked about.
So tell us all about Assassin's Creed 2.
Well, we got to do hands-on from the start of the game, and then they warped us around if we wanted to check out other locales. And it's a lot like the first game in the sense that it's still an Assassin's Creed game, but they've listened to a lot of the criticism that people had with it being too samey, being a little mechanical with the, you have 9 assassinations, and this time they're really letting, and it was pretty obvious, they're really letting the story push the game along, and they've just opened up a lot of variety, even if the core game's still there. Like, you know, you can, if you play the first game, you can, like most sequels, you can just pick it up and start counter-killing people and stuff like that. But, you know, just by adding, like, the economy, more people, like, more of a living city, it always felt kind of flat. In the last game, there was just a handful of people to interact with. They kind of GT8'd it without vehicles, for the most part. I mean, that's really kind of what I was getting out of it, by adding all these little side missions, economy, and stuff like that. You can still climb anywhere. You can swim this time, and
they've added these huge crowds of people, and that was one of the big things that they shouted out at E3 in the press conference.
It's up to 125 can be displayed at one time, and they all have little AI routines. And
does that pad out the atmosphere in the game? Because I mean, like, if the
they have the nighttime and daytime cycles this time. I didn't really pick up on anything changing too much. I was just kind of speeding through. But, you know, you can follow people around. You can, if you ever wanted to stalk someone, I guess you could stalk someone in this game. But, you know...
But, I mean, do they have really advanced patterns like Shenmue, or is it just kind of
they're going to go home and eat a loaf of bread?
I'm assuming it's probably along the lines of what you would see in, like, Oblivion. You know, it's kind of like work, nighttime, not working anymore, and stuff like that.
Right.
It is just impressive, like, the variety of the crowd, and they have a lot of dialogue. You know, you can be, like, looting a dead body, and they're going to be like, look at that guy. You probably just killed that guy, and he's taking his money, and just... if you climb stuff. I mean, in the first game they kind of did some catcalls, but here there's just a lot more voice acting and stuff like that. They're the linear game segments, which they're not supposed to call it, but everyone was calling them linear game segments.
I love linear game segments.
They're the secret missions. That's the thing they showed off at Gamescom, and that was interesting. That's much more of a kind of Prince of Persia. Actually, now I'm feeling kind of Uncharted. They're a lot more directed. There's only kind of one way to get through it. But for anyone who's played the first game, I really liked the very opening sequence with Altair, where you're in like the tomb,
right,
which felt kind of more directed, or the whole part where the little assassin's castle is actually like sieged in the beginning, and you have to get around, and it's a lot less open. But the more directed play definitely has its benefits, but you still have this open world. What's interesting is they actually outsourced the linear game stuff to like Ubi Shanghai, I think. So it's like Ubi Montreal's working on all this stuff, and they're like, okay, now build us 50 missions. And they're all optional except for one, which is basically going to be like the tutorial mission.
The one that shows you that they're there.
Yeah. And then they've added just more puzzly elements in general. I mean, the first game with the whole investigate and stuff, it was basically, like everyone knows, it was, pickpocket, beat someone up and stuff, or like do a little task for someone. But they this time it's a lot more organic, just trying to do stuff. And buying stuff's fun. I mean, I made my Assassin's robe like
a good little
velveteen and stuff like that. Yeah,
what color?
Good for the economy.
What color?
Venice is like kind of a reddish purple, hazy thing. I think people are going to really dig it if they like the first game. I'm still curious if people that hated the first game, even with the things corrected, if they're going to bite this time.
Like
I will say,
John C., who hated the first game.
I will say the first 2 minutes of the game are what the last 2 minutes of the first game should have been, easily. But they're doing some cool stuff. They have like these weird like Professor Layton puzzles that are kind of hidden in the game, and then there's this meta game with owning a villa where you can like buy property and like put your trophies and stuff like that. We don't have any footage. Definitely interested. I think people are going to be happy in general, but I'm still curious about that core that hated the first game. If this, with all these improvements, if it's just going to be artifice or if they're actually going to turn around and like it.
All right, next up we have Army of Two multiplayer, and Mr. Justin, you're the authority on this.
I was there.
That's why you're wearing the vaguely military jacket today. So, all right, talk to us about Army of Two multiplayer. What's going on with that?
Well, I think the first game. I think the multiplayer modes were perceived as kind of being, just tacked on or thrown in, kind of, and Army of Two.
Well, in addition to it being the core of the game, right?
Well, I mean,
this
past just the co-op, like the actual, versus and whatever. So, I mean, they have kind of a standard suite of modes. There's one kind of interesting thing, I guess, that ties in with pre-order. We'll talk about it later. There's basically a team deathmatch, which is a lot like Wingman from Gears of War 2, but it has their own kind of... It's basically like Wingman from Gears of War 2.
No, I've never been able to get into Army of Two. I must admit, there is Gears and there's so many other games that seem similar and more fun.
It's Army of Two is fun if you play it co-op, and it's not fun if you play it solo.
It's still all about co-opiness and aggro meter. If you don't know what an aggro meter is, then you'll know after you play that game. But so yeah, they have team deathmatch, which is fun. It's a lot like Wingman, which I thought is a really great mode because it's like deathmatch. It's still kind of chaotic, and you have a lot of people to shoot at and a lot of people that are trying to kill you. But you at least have a dude to watch your back, and you don't have to worry about spawning in and just getting randomly killed. In an orgy of whatever. Because in games with cover, it's good to have. You can kind of control space better with a teammate. They have what is it? I think it's called Control. I'll get to Extraction.
Okay.
I want to go in mental order. So I have it set up in my brain. So Control is like teams of 6, and you basically move to a point on the map, and then you have to kind of hold that point after a certain amount of time, of controlling it. It's captured, and then another place spawns, and you have to go there. And they still have the 2-person teams in this mode, so you still have like a partner, which, I mean, you have 6 people in the team, but you still have a partner who is a guy who he can give you ammo, and if you go down, then the guy can revive you. I'm not 100% sure that other people can't revive you, but it's kind of like, okay, you're on this larger team, but you still have a buddy who will go out and try to help you out, because when your partner dies, you get a big skull icon, and you're like, oh, I guess I should go.
Yeah. Well, just an FYI, if you ever have Miguel as a partner, be prepared for him stopping to teabag everybody. I found that out in Borderlands, so.
It's like
some people are enthusiasts for that. And let's see, Extraction, I guess you're talking about?
That was the UK trailer.
That's kind of the new thing. They described it as kind of a mixture of Gears Horde mode, which really took off, Horde, Firefight, whatever, everyone loves it, and Left 4 Dead. But basically what you're doing is you're fighting off waves of AI in a location, so you kind of set up shop and work with, it's 4 people, so 4-person co-op. 12 is the maximum for all modes. I mean, but this is 4-person co-op. You fight off waves of AI in one area, then you move to another area, and
Is there a loading
more waves
screen,
of AI.
or?
No, you physically move from one area to the other, so it's kind
So
of
that's
like you're
the
moving,
gimmick?
kind of like you're moving from point to point, a little like Left 4 Dead. But yeah, so basically what it is you don't just you're on this map and you're like, okay, we have this game plan, we just stick to it the whole time. You like move to a new place, then you have a new strategy for where to take cover, where to set up your choke
Is
points.
there
or
a
whatever
lot
you're
of
doing.
the team up moves in the multiplayer? Like hoist
Actually,
people up?
you can't. Yeah, you can't hoist people over barriers
Okay.
and stuff like that. Multiplayer is a little.
It's basically
it's,
just-
it's
basically
kind of
just
like a different
third-person
mode. It's a little stripped down. They don't have.
It's just third-person shooting.
quite something. Yeah, they have
Pretty
they
much.
have like a GPS feature, I think, that's vaguely like in the
Do
first
they
one. You
still
can
have
kind
the
of
thing
turn
where
it
you can
on.
go point where one person has the shield, or like rips off a car door and stuff like that? And they're kind of sticky to each other.
I don't think so. It seems like it's pretty much more of a straight multiplayer.
Mm.
There might be shields in the game. I didn't see it. You instead you pick a weapon kit, which has kind of the combination of things, whether you want shotguns or sniper rifles. So when you die or when you start a mode, you can pick a kit and then
Did all of the
Go do your thing. Kill
environments look like what is it, Shanghai?
yeah, I think they're environments from the single player. So there aren't a lot of dynamic things happening. Like you're not going to see a skyscraper collapse like in the single player game, or even any other environmental
panda
effects.
attack.
Yeah, no giant panda attacks, no zoo attacks. But yeah, it's a multiplayer mode.
So then there's the pre-order, this new pre-order debacle, and we've been going on about pre-orders for a couple of weeks. Now, do you want to explain what the pre-order issue is right now?
Yeah, I'll try to put it succinctly. If you pre-order the game, you have access to a multiplayer mode, Extraction, the one we were just talking about, like Horde mode, like Left 4 Dead. If you don't pre-order it, then you don't have access to it until a month has passed. So you don't want to buy the game until the 40th day.
This is one of the silliest things I've heard in a long time.
It's totally
It's on the disc,
stupid,
right?
It's locking people out. I mean, it's a smart idea if you want to keep people from buying the game used.
Well, it's not even a question of
the
buying it
next
used
week,
because it'll
but,
still be unlocked because I'm guessing everybody gets unlocked. Now, is this
No,
the first month?
if you bought it and you've used the code, it's
So is it the first month of release that the game that it's locked up, or the first 30 days of you owning the game? Is
No, the first
multiplayers?
month of release. Basically, they want you to. They want everyone who wants to buy it. They're like, hey guys, buy it new, and you'll get this multiplayer mode. If you buy it used, or you buy it a week later,
they
then,
want to generate the pre-order.
And obviously,
pre-order
it'll
numbers,
kind of
yeah.
front load the sales. They're hoping for big sales at the beginning. I don't know if it'll work or not. I mean, it seems it's smart on paper, I'm sure, but yeah, people get a little pissed off. Gamers get a little pissed off about things like that.
I'm totally with them on this. I think this is one of those one of those world famous bullshit moves that the EAs and Activisions of this world are famous for. So basically, you buy the game the day after it's launched and you haven't pre-ordered it. You basically get a gimped version of the game for the first month.
But is it on the disc? Because I mean, people are always.
I think
people are still upset about downloading.
Yeah, no, I think you get an unlock code.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe
gonna be
that's
on the
it. I
disc.
think it is on the disc.
on
It's
the disc.
already.
But
Yeah.
you just can't.
So they're
access
just
it.
blatantly telling you it's on the disc this time around.
It's on the disc, so you'll get a code after the first month. Otherwise, you buy it and you get access to the full game that you should have access to in the first place.
Well, it's
So you
nice
don't
that they
get
don't
any-
make you pay for it later if you didn't pre-order. I mean, you get it eventually.
Yeah, they're not.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. It just totally depends on what angle
well,
you look
there's
at
the
it.
weird thing with
As a capitalist,
Forza just
as owning stock in EA,
Forza just came out, and it's not a pre-order thing, but it's in the first run of the games. You get the code for the legendary cars, which is like a 400-something meg download. But then, after that first run of games is out, people are gonna have to pay money for that as DLC, which
Well, I
seems
think
kind of
what
strange too.
everybody should do who's listening to this podcast in America
Don't
right now, because
go
we know
EA.
this is an
Don't buy
American deal.
anywhere. Okay.
Don't pre-order it. Don't pre-order this game. Turn up and buy it day one, but don't pre-order it because let's see how happy EA are when nobody's slapped down cash in advance, because that's what they want. They want cash in advance. The way it works is,
I'd still say if you want to play the mode, go ahead and pre-order it because you can't change them.
you know what? I'd
I like
say
your
no
defeatist
because
attitude. You're hired.
let's face it, one, it involves giving GameStop money because this is a GameStop exclusive. I'm thinking. Or is this just a general?
No, I think it's anywhere you pre-order the game.
It's a general. Okay.
Otherwise, they could do like a different mode for each store. If you want this mode,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
pre-order
yeah,
that.
totally screwed. No, I don't think anybody should pre-order this game in any way, shape, or form because EA gets the pre-orders, it bumps up their core base order with the various retailers, and that's
Well,
what
then
they
again,
want
I
to do.
mean, I doubt that the team itself is like, hey, let's make this game mode.
No,
and
no,
we don't want anyone
no,
else to
this
play
is-
it except for the people who pre-order.
this is either-
I
this
mean,
is
these
not-
people are still making a game, and I'm sure they
It's
want
not
people
the
to
dev
buy it. And they
team.
want people
This
to play
is
it.
EA sales department and marketing department.
Well, you're still screwing
being wankers.
If you're saying show up and
No,
buy
I'm,
it the
I'm
first
saying,
day anyway.
I'm saying show up and buy it, just don't pre-order it.
I don't
If
know.
you want to get,
I think
Army of
signing
Two,
in
just
online-
Just
buy it,
remember
but
that
don't
if you
pre-order
show
it.
up and buy it, you can't do that at GameStop. You have to go somewhere else.
You have to go to day two for that one. Anyway, I still think it's f***ing stupid if you ask me, but.
Vroom.
All right. Now we have a slightly different off-track, unusual segment where we're not going to talk about a game. We're going to talk about a peripheral that Mr. Bloodworth's been playing with.
It's a game peripheral?
It's a game peripheral.
Yeah, it's
It is for
the
games.
racing wheel that came in a giant crate, and it's the Fanatec Porsche 911 Turbo S racing wheel, and it's being promoted as a Forza 3 thing.
So, first of all, don't tell us the cost yet. Let's get the cost at the end, the kicker. So,
Sure.
what did you get out of the crate? First of all, this huge shipping crate that we now have given to 14 homeless people to live in.
Actually, no, we have to send it back, so I have to like repack everything.
We're going to evict him in a couple of weeks.
Free homeless person.
But basically, yeah, what they gave us was there's three models. There's like a low range that doesn't have pedals. There's one with pedals, and there's one with like these like crazy aluminum pedals. But it came with the wheel, it came with the stand, it came with the pedals. It comes with, you have 3 different options for shifting. You can use like a normal 6-gear shifter. You can use a sequential shifter that also has paddle shifters right on the wheel. And it's theoretically compatible with all 3 systems, which I think would be the biggest selling point. It works on the PS3, it works on the 360, it works on the PC. And you just highlight different modes, and the buttons there's lights behind the buttons, and they light up the corresponding buttons for that system, which is pretty nice.
But you said theoretically.
Theoretically, because this was developed alongside Forza 3, and if you played Forza 3 at any event, like if it was at PAX or Gamescom or whatever, this is the wheel that you were playing with. But and it works great with Forza 3. But I put it on Gran Turismo Prologue and Need for Speed last night, and it has the same downfall as any other wheel. If that game is not built to support that wheel, it's not programmed to support that wheel, it's just worthless.
Horrible. Is there an angle select or anything?
There's a lot of different tuning options. Right on the wheel, you can put down the force feedback, you can put down the rumble and stuff like that.
Is there like a radial angle? For
Yeah,
the
yeah,
axle?
you can do that. You can pump it up to where it's less sensitive or more sensitive. But with Gran Turismo is programmed for Logitech wheels, and the result is this thing was just completely uncontrollable. It was just shaking back and forth the whole time, doing all kinds of craziness. Need for Speed Shift was better, but not really as good as Forza. Forza really feels like you're driving a real car, but everything else was just like, okay. But the stand is really nice too, I think, and that's one of the things that you pretty much need some kind of stand, and the stand that they're promoting along with this.
Well, let's start with the price of the
get you the
stand.
right
Well,
angle.
before we get there, have they actually said that they are going to be are they working with EA? Are they working with Sony to support GT and Need for Speed? So that, I'm assuming this would be.
This has been sent to us by the Forza team.
Okay.
So I don't really have
So-
that info.
That'd be interesting to see because in the days of the old PC wheels and flight sticks and everything, it was a case of people manufacturing it would send little SDKs to the dev team to integrate.
Yeah.
So I'm sure these guys are probably would love to work with the Need for Speed guys, but it just depends on. what
Yeah, I
EA
think
has
Need
to
for
say.
Speed is probably more likely. I think Gran Turismo is pretty locked up with Logitech.
So all right, now I'm imagining this, with the leather and the new car smell and everything. This is cheap. It's $20, right?
No, actually, the base model without the pedals, which means you have to use Logitech pedals, is $250
Base model's $250.
for just the wheel and the shifters. Then the model we have is $330. And then there's the Club Sport Edition, which has the aluminum pedals. That is $480.
So
None of those include the stand, which is a separate $130.
So you're talking at best a 600. You know, the ultimate kit is like $600.
$600. Yeah.
And then the cost of the game on top. Because I'm thinking Forza doesn't come free.
No.
All right.
So yeah, it's very premium. I think they said they're only making like 10,000. I could be wrong on that.
That's
Somewhere
a couple
in here.
of car payments right there.
That is actually. I mean, for the.
Yeah, all 3 versions of the wheel are strictly limited to 10,000 units in total. So that's why I don't expect a lot of support for this wheel.
Oh,
it's a pretty tiny market.
You could probably lease something like a Porsche for a couple of days and just literally drive that around for 2 or 3 days. All right, last up, big game. Big game that should have made it this year and moved into next year, just like many big games. There's an event for this a couple of weeks ago, and we sent Mr. Bloodworth, and only now you're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll see what I can actually remember. It was like 3 weeks ago.
It was in the midst of time, and you still got that new car smell in your nostrils. So, yeah, what do you remember about the BioShock event?
It was a really big event, right? I mean,
Yeah, when we went before, it's just like it was us in a hotel room and one TV. This event was a room full of journalists from around the world and 90 stations.
International flavor.
Yeah, so it was a much bigger event than I expected, and it was an all-night long event with dinner and everything. They had one single-player area that they demoed on stage, which was about 15 or 20 minutes long, called Siren Alley. It's kind of like the red light district of Rapture. And they went through there, and they kind of introduced the lead antagonist, the person that's taken over Andrew Ryan's place, this woman named Sophia Lamb. And she is basically like, he was, kind of the self-centered philosophy, and she's more of an altruistic philosophy, and like everyone worked together. And so I guess the idea, like in this expanded vision of BioShock, is like taking these different world philosophies and putting them to the extreme until where they just kind of break down and make everything horrible.
Just like the real world.
Yeah.
Did it have healthcare in
Just like
Rapture?
the game trailer's officers.
So that was a very interesting demo, and they kind of flooded it at the end, and there's like all these bodies and stuff floating around. And then they had a completely different single-player demo for us to play, and they had these nice headphones. So it was, you're pretty much isolated and just alone with the game for half an hour. And that was the Ryan Amusement Park. Basically, it's Ryan's propaganda machine for little children. They go through a little roller coaster and see all the animatronics talk about how evil the surface is, so none of them ever want to leave Rapture. And it was pretty cool area. It gave you a good overview of all the big points as far as, okay, you track down a Big Daddy.
What novel do you need to read before you play this?
I don't know. Yeah, no Ayn Rand books are applicable this time. But anyways, so yeah, you hunt down a Big Daddy, take him out, get a little sister, and then use the little sister to track down some bodies and get some Adam, and then you have your little control point sections. And I think the way the enemies are designed and stuff, it's still, even though you're a Big Daddy, you still have that sense of vulnerability from the first BioShock to where you're like, holy crap, I'm almost always going to die. And those control points, it's really about setting up that strategy, and that's what's really different. It's like trying to, set it up to where you have your traps over here, and you're not getting overwhelmed. And I saw some people, after I was done, I watched some other people playing, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting strategy. And then I saw them get completely owned. So keeping your distance is definitely key.
Interesting but flawed.
And people will like bust through doors behind you when you got your back to the wall, and somebody will bust through that wall.
This is the AI.
Yeah.
AI coming in behind you.
Yeah, I mean, it's scripted, but...
Can we talk about the water for just 2 seconds? Because in the first game, early on, like you're in a place and the water crashes through, and I actually waited there hoping it was going to fill up. And here we've seen the underwater stuff, but like, is there an actual sense of like volumatic, like water actually taking up space, or is it either kind of flooded or not flooded?
I think it's going to be, the section they showed with Siren Alley. I mean, it definitely came in and flooded, and you were trying to get out within a certain time limit.
Okay.
Because otherwise that section would be sealed off and you'd be stuck in there. Even though you can walk around underwater, no problem.
The tide level is rising though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
So did you get to play multiplayer?
Yeah, the multiplayer that was after the single player demo, and they had just your standard stuff, your deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the sister.
That's very standard. Yeah, I think that's in Forza, isn't it? Capture the sister.
So it's very similar to anything else except that you have the plasmids and your character. You can actually select loadouts. So you set up like 3 different loadouts, and then you can switch between your setups between different plasmids and different guns.
That sounds totally multiplayer.
Every time you respawn. So that kind of alters your strategy. There's also in the deathmatch modes, there's a Big Daddy suit that will spawn somewhere on the map, and whoever runs to it, will get to be the Big Daddy
like the
until
mech
somebody
suit,
takes them
basically,
down. What's different is in the Capture the Sister mode, there's basically a defense team and an attacking team. And the defense team, they'll have one player will be randomly chosen to be the Big Daddy. And he will be the Big Daddy until he gets taken down, and then you're just left with only splicers. And so it really becomes, a big part of your strategy of keeping the Big Daddy alive. And the maps are all maps from the first BioShock, places you're familiar with, but they've been redesigned for multiplayer. So there's a lot more, like being able to jump up to a second level with geyser ability.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was actually...
Because it looks, the trailer made it look a little horrible.
No, it was actually pretty cool.
And are the controls different from because the controls when you're playing single-player BioShock never felt like they would lend themselves to a fast-paced multiplayer game?
Yeah, I was doing some pretty quick stuff as far as like...
Because they have a different team making that.
Yeah.
That's the guys who did like Pariah.
Well, this is the thing, they've got like 45 different teams, or they've had 45 different teams working on it. Does it feel
the guys who
pieced together?
What was the game with the glaive?
From what you've played?
The multiplayer... Yeah. It definitely is different. It doesn't feel like it has to be there. But I think with the plasmids and stuff, it definitely it's kind of like how Uncharted. It's like Uncharted has its things that other games don't really do in the multiplayer, but it still feels like a standard multiplayer.
I guess I'm just curious, does it control just like regular BioShock when you're playing multiplayer? Or did they speed it up a little?
It might be sped up a little. I was able to juggle people. Like I would take there's one of the abilities that's exclusive to multiplayer is the geyser. And I was actually, you're supposed to use it as a trap, but I was actually just throwing it straight at people. So I throw at people, and they would bounce it at the ceiling, and I would 1-2 punch them with the guns, and I was taking out groups of dudes like that, trying to come after the sister. It was really fun, and they also have in multiplayer they had the Houdini ability that you saw the splicers do in the first game, where you basically become invisible.
Don't get punched in the
and go around and flank people. But the Big Daddy can stomp down and knock you out of invisibility too.
So overall, you had a blast playing it?
Stupid.
Yeah, I think that the single player definitely eased my worries. I'm one of the people that was like, when I heard there was a BioShock 2, I was like, why? This is a self-contained game. It doesn't need a sequel.
This one made a load of money.
But it's definitely won me over. And I think people that loved BioShock are going to love the single player. And I think the multiplayer is fun.
And with her, paradise itself. Be ye soldier of the ground or angel of the sky, ye must stand fast and send it howling back to hell.
All right, back by popular demand, and after a several week-long hiatus, it's on the hook. Mr. Ryan, you have the first question?
Yeah, I got something from Mandeep 1803.
I don't want to know what that refers to.
I kind of do. Fallout 3 came out a year ago. Even after a year, the game has way too many bugs. My point is, as a consumer, good consumer, I expected a finished product out of the box. It's okay to have some bugs, but this is crazy bad. Game crashed 3 times in the first 20 minutes I played it. I love Fallout 3 and will play it no matter what, but this is a growing problem with games. Do you think there should be more rigor and quality control to provide a better gaming experience?
Yeah, Fallout 3 is an interesting example because we've all had kind of different experiences with it. Like, Ryan, you said you haven't even had that many crashes when you played it.
I did not have a crash in that game until I had DLC.
I've only had one crash on the 360 version, and to be fair, he's talking about the PS3 version, and he's talking about the Game of the Year version because I did edit this question down a little bit. He's talking specifically about the PS3 Game of the Year version. He bought the original version of the PS3, then got rid of it, has gone back to the Game of the Year version, and still got the bugs in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've had 10 to 15 crashes in a single night on the 360 version of Fallout 3, so I think there's definitely a lot of issues in Fallout 3, but I think one thing to speculate on is the fact that there's so many different hardware versions out there that I wonder if it's a matter of trying to work out like you would with PCs, like all these different hardware configurations.
I think it's one of those things that it's For Fallout 3, it's the engine has got some glitches, and it's such a big game, especially when you add all the DLC packs. It's
and
a huge game.
The physics of everything in the game.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes stuff is going to go wrong, and we're talking about the PS3 version. Perhaps the PS3 version is not as is obviously going to be different to the 360 version. 360, I can see your point with different versions of the game.
I mean,
the machine.
I had Uncharted crash on me twice. Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
So I think just as what you're saying, like as games more like I can't remember. I remember Nintendo games glitching out, but I've never had like a Nintendo game crash on me.
Yeah.
I think it's just as games get more complex.
Unless it popped up out of the...
I think you just hit the nail on the head there. I mean, in an ideal world, we would love for them to test every single parameter, every single option before they send it out, and no more day one patches.
But as games become more and more like PC games, and they really
well,
are...
Fallout 3 really is kind of... And Oblivion had a lot of the same problems, like tons of
Yeah,
bugs.
that's
were
the
different
thing.
on
I feel
different
like
systems.
I feel like there's a lot of kind of ignored bugs in Fallout 3.
That's true,
People
but part of it,
can't go back
I think
to
looking at a
certain
game like
areas.
this, like Fallout or Oblivion, it's like the game's so big. It's like I almost expect. I'm like,
Something-
surely this is
something's
going to
gonna
up a
go
little
wrong.
bit.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
expect a little bit.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
price you pay.
I had Ocarina of Time lock up on me once, and like that's pretty unheard of for like a Nintendo game. But it's just going to happen more and more. And Xbox One, no patches. Team Ninja kind of snuck it in there with the Hurricane Pack for Ninja Gaiden, but now there's patches all the time,
There's day one patches for console games, and it's ridiculous.
and you don't even notice them anymore.
I think on certain games it's absolutely stupid, and I think with other games, with Fallout, it's kind of tough. While another cell phone goes off, it's tough because the game is so huge. If we want the big, huge games, I mean, it would take an army of testers months to go through the finished version of that game and try and find every single permutation. But
You're just going to see patches, and you're going to see crashes for games. I
Yeah.
think. I mean, they should do better quality control. I mean,
Force
Force
would you
Force
rather-
Unleashed was incredibly, not just crashes, but buggy audio issues.
Yeah, people are
Brutal
talking
Legend
about-
Brutal
Gameplay-
Legend had
gameplay
some
issues.
People are
Brutal
talking
Legend had
about-
some crazy sound issues, and that game's. I mean, it's not a music game per se,
did
but
it?
it's music. Yeah, on the PS3,
Oh,
it had like really weird mixing
Yeah,
problems.
people are talking a lot about Need for Speed Shift having lots and tons of bugs, and like I only saw bugs with the replay camera, but I'm seeing all kinds of crazy stuff popping
Maybe
up.
we
in
should
I mean,
just
players.
even Demon Souls. I shot a crystal
What?
gecko and it fell through the floor, and I
I
was
don't
like,
believe
I want those ores. I was
all
very
right,
upset.
let's move on to the next question. And this is the one. This is one I'm
Did
going
we
to
answer the question?
I think we did. We'd like to see more quality testing. But
No, I don't want
Basically,
any
we're like,
no
yeah,
more quality
things are
control.
But it
can
just
you do?
depends on the game. I mean, if Pong should be released without a day one patch. Fallout, we may, you have to give it some leeway. Next question. I think this one should go to Justin.
Oh boy, this is Richard Weber.
Let's call him
Or is
Robert
it Weber?
Wagner. Let's call him Wagner.
Richard Wagner. I like FPS games as much as the next guy, but what's with the hate on the MMO games? Seriously now, Ion broke MMO pre-order records with 400,000 copies sold on pre-order, and there hasn't been as much as a nod from you guys for this game. I thought we did something on it.
We did do something on
People
it.
ask every week about games we talked about the week before. It's so funny.
Well, let's see about the second part of his question. Maybe it's relevant. Take a look at some of the MMO games that are out there right now other than WoW. Ion, Lord of the Rings Online, Lotro, even some of the games that are already out and flourishing like EVE Online. Give us MMO guys some love here.
Well,
Exclamation point.
We did do this. We told and it was actually me who pissed off the Ion community a couple of weeks ago. But I think it got kind of buried because Shane was upsetting the PS3 Uncharted 2 fans with his review of the game. But yeah, I mean,
9 point what?
What? Yeah, exactly. It didn't get 21.10 out of 5. But yes, I mean we have covered it, and we will. We do cover these games. Patrick, plays a lot of MMOs. I play a lot
Yeah,
of
I mean,
MMOs.
fun.
just
Yeah,
from a
I'll play
video
some.
perspective, MMOs are a bit of a nightmare for doing video reviews. We do them, but it can be really hard to get the footage. I know, did our, not City of Heroes, what was the one that just came out, Champions? Did our Champions ever go
Champions
up?
Online.
We've been working on that one for a while.
And that's the thing, you can't do a review right off the bat. The reviews take longer in general because you have to see how the game evolves and how patches are implemented. And, I know you missed the Ion piece there, Richard, so I'll just tell you that I'm really disappointed with Ion. It's a freaking grind fest after the 20s. And for everybody who slammed me, who said, oh, you should cut NCSoft some slack, NCSoft have been going for 5, 6, 7 years now. It's not their first MMO. And if they can't get their shit sorted out the gate with regards to server access and all the various other things that have gone wrong with the game. Well, that's just fucking wrong. Okay,
Well,
so
they did
suck
get
it.
400,000 pre-orders, so they're still making money.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess.
they have 400,000 pre-orders.
I wish we
They-
had someone that played
you know,
EVE Online.
They had 3 to 4
Yeah,
hours.
sounds
before
so
getting the
interesting.
Did you see
servers.
the developer video?
Oh yeah, I
that they
saw the
released?
developer video, the raft thing, and they're like,
I'm gonna move to Iceland. That place
they
looks
got
awesome.
they got studios on like 4
Interesting
continents.
story. Iceland is losing its last 3 McDonald's this weekend.
Sweet.
In
Oh, they
Reykjavik.
killed it off.
Literally, the franchise guy is closing the last 3 McDonald's because of the global credit crunch, because they have to import all their stuff from Germany as a McDonald's franchise. Interesting non sequitur there. And that's, all right, let's move on.
You've slept in the frost tomb for too long, Kigativik. Wake up and bring cataclysm to this land.
All right, that's episode 81 in the bag. We will be back next week, the same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll have the same big bat hosting next week. Shane will be back from his enforced absence. Don't stop shaking your head at
I'm
me.
just trying to
It's
figure out what that
totally random.
means.
Well, Batman did the
it's
60s
slang.
Batman thing.
No,
so,
I understand that. I just don't understand the
Shane's
Shane.
batty. Batty's got bats in the belfry.
Okay.
It's
No, he has wings.
nobody has to
right.
understand.
He drinks
Yeah,
blood.
yeah. Well, no, he does drink a lot of Red Bull, so he does have wings.
He drinks the blood of PC gamers.
Oh, ho, ho.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, that's Invisible Walls out.